Hey there again.
How you doing?
Well, how about yourself?
Just peachy. I figured I'd step in early and just hang my hat.
Awesome, fabulous. We have some people that are just kind of hanging out here. The judges are deliberating. The pitches took a little bit less time than we had planned for since we had fewer larger teams. So,
Give me a profile. Your hair is done differently. Let me see.
oh, it's just all piled up this time.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Okay, there you go. All right. So what's new in Ireland?
Not much. We have 5 pretty awesome new solutions to different problems now. So
Terrific.
it's exciting, and everybody's
Anything going
exhausted.
anything going forward with it? Anybody jumping on and doing anything crazy?
I don't
Making
know.
it happen?
I hope they all do. They probably all need a little break though after the last 2 days.
That's good. That's good.
So yeah. They had a little break and then they're all going to come back in the next few minutes. So anybody who's here is welcome to chat, mingle, ask Egon questions while you have them here to yourself.
What jumped out most of all with anybody in particular? Anybody have a extremely novel approach or idea or anything uniquely out there?
I don't know. There's some, now they're all like have washed together in my mind. Whose was most interesting? We had, let's see, a lot of nice solutions for engaging learners. So either training or education, any of these for remote education and training. Those are really nice. Some really tech heavy solutions there. Some community building ones. Comms was about community. What else did we have?
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, go for it.
You mentioned education.
Mm-hmm.
A tidbit on that topic. My observation as of recent past is that while there's a huge demand for education at this very second, the most difficult challenge is educating the educators.
Mm-hmm.
And I have both of them coming in one ear, and then I have the new people coming in the other ear, and I realize you guys aren't talking to each other. And I sit there and go, you realize there are people offering solutions, there are people begging for solutions, and I keep asking myself, well, how come you guys aren't talking with each other? And I see that daily, and I just marvel and think it's interesting. So, what a hot arena to be in.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, opportunities just sitting there poking you in the nose, and it's just, yeah, I see a lot of it. I hear the debates too. They all presume you're in their camp, so they squeal to me like, you won't tell anybody, and I sit there and go, well, the other guy's telling me their side, and you're telling me your side, and I'm not asking. So I keep thinking, what would happen if you did ask? They'd probably just fold in a second. So
yeah, no, we had good. Go for it, Colin. You guys chat.
My wife is actually a teacher, and when the lockdown came here in Ireland, it was announced on a Thursday, and they were told to go home that afternoon and just bring everything they needed with them, and that was it, and move to online. But they weren't told what to do other than Google Classroom, which is very basic. So because I had actually just finished a postgrad, I was in the process of finishing a postgrad, which was mainly done online using Blackboard and Zoom and other things. I was able to kind of replicate that and get her set up so she could do Zoom classes with her classes. Also, we got her, she was able to record classes in advance with presentations and do the audio over them and save them as videos. None of that is trained to the teachers. They have to go and figure that out themselves. And there are some WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups where they share information, but it's all left up to the individual teachers, certainly in Ireland, and I suspect it's the same around the world. Governments don't seem to want to do it, but if a company came along and said, you know what, guys, here's a solution, we're giving to you for free for COVID-19, it'll do all those things about holding online classes in a safe environment, it'll store all the information you need, one solution that answers everything. they would clean up in the education sphere right now?
I think you're 99 and 1 point something percent on target. That itsy bitsy little bit that's missing is as follows. And I've only learned this in recent past, and I'm an authority on it. If you had told me this 8 months ago, I would have thought you were a blithering idiot. No, I know it to be true now. And I'm going to give you a story to explain this story. I'll say a year ago, I happened to be in DC one day. No, I'm misleading. I was elsewhere. I think I was out west, California or someplace. I get a phone call, and I was asked to show up in DC the next morning. Could I come emergency? We need you back in DC. Sure, what's up? We need you to lobby for the physics community, nuclear physics community, nuclear arena physics. And I said, my first thought was, what labs do you want me to represent? I couldn't ask that question, but that really was in my brain thinking, are you giving me prestige or a nothing lab? And I couldn't ask the question. That would have been very rude. So somehow I hinted, nudged, and whatever I did. And they said, would you mind representing LLNL, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory? And that's the world's most powerful. It's not CERN. This is where the weapon would be.
Okay.
If you mentioned the world's most powerful laser weapon, what they call NIF, NIF, National Ignition Facility. This is Lawrence Livermore. And I thought, whoa, I was flattered as could be. And I thought, and my tail was wagging. And then they said, and Egon, would you also mind representing MIT nuclear physics when you're back there as well? And I thought, now they threw that in there. Something's attached to that, but sure, what can I lose? And I'm a part of MIT and Harvard. And yeah, what problem? I rendezvous, we show up I'm in DC the next morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and I meet with 2 or 3 physicists out of MIT. The other guys were all regular, normal people. And these are nuclear types. And now this is where the story gets to the point. And they were the usual MIT types compared to Harvard types. Even though they're only a mile down the block, MIT guys are right down to earth, regular sort of people relative to Harvard types. Now I'm both. So I'm saying this with some degree of authority. And I figured, what problems will we get into? They spoke in meetings with senators and such, and I was embarrassed to death. Just amazingly embarrassed. While they were super bright, super everything, they could talk nuclear physics till the cows came home, they were humiliating representing the industry in public. They were terrible. So the reason I share that anecdote with you is because I see that in the educational arenas as well. That little point where they have to connect. It's like it might as well be some sort of plasma physics problem. It's phenomenal. And you can go in and say, I have a solution. It's 8 inches from your mouth right now. If you say nothing, we can get this resolved. No, they both have to speak. And all of a sudden they they explode everything. And I sit there and go, you guys need a mediator just to bring and we have heavy unions teaching back here. So the unions stick their nose in it. And then you have a third party. And it's like you sit there and go, it's not complicated. It is so elementary, yet because the conduit is not there. And if it's like that in Ireland, I believe you. I witness it and I go, I get it. So some people should never speak for themselves. Get a lawyer, get something. But that's what I see that routinely. And I just sit there and go, wow, the solution's right in the room. All the pieces are here, just the wrong person to connect the dots. That's usually what I see. So,
and I see that again. It's exactly the same in education. The unions and the big kind of self-interest groups just dominate. And there's a discussion. There might be a small element of a discussion on Facebook or something among the actual the teachers on the ground. But again, in terms of the students as well, there's a students' union, a secondary school students' union, for example, that lobbied to get the Leaving Cert, which is the big end of secondary school exam, changed to being continuous assessment as opposed to the old way of an exam. And again, they all sell themselves so badly that you end up with this heated debate online, usually, but certainly in the media and the airwaves, about the rights and wrongs of it, where they all claim they want the best interests of the students. That's debatable sometimes.
Yeah. I do. I have the silly part of me that plays on Broadway quite a bit, and increasingly I become active in that arena, Broadway entertainment. And for whatever reason in my life, if I do something wrong, I either end up in Hollywood or on Broadway. You still there?
I'm still here. I'm listening.
Okay. So anyway, and I kind of get a kick out of it. I can't have a regular diet of it. It beats me up. It's difficult to deal with. Well, only a couple of weeks ago, we had a 2-day meeting, a Broadway meeting on Zoom, and I guess there are probably 250 so people on the connection, thereabouts, and the unions had their say in it, and because everything's going to video, at least temporarily, if not permanently, then the big issue was when you're on Broadway in particular, you have to deal with union contracts. Everything you do is union contracts. So the first question that comes up the moment you have a Broadway statement, if you and I are meeting over anything Broadway, the very first question out of one of our mouths would be, how many seats? Because we talk about a theater. And the first, I can't picture the theater until you tell me how many seats, because that tells me what union contract, all the scales, everything's broken down by number of seat. You can't have a Broadway play unless the seating is above 500, so forth, and then in certain geographic. So you have to, the very first questions out there is, what size play are we talking? 45 seat, 99 seat, 600 seat, and that tells you all the rules thereafter. Well, they're on video, and I had to intercede and say, who cares? You're on video. And the unions are saying, we have to know how many seats are in the house, but it's on video. There's no, it's, it's like,
Yeah.
There are no seats. They have no say now. You can't regulate this. So then I had to, the only way I got circumvented was by saying, we're going to go SAG, Screen Actors Guild, motion picture rules. Well, on video, it's still not motion, but at least they gave an answer that appeased them while they're running around. But that was like, they're still figuring how they can control the seating on video, and it's interesting. And so they're at a big wall right now about seating on video, and it's like it's there.
I think that's a big problem, because people have kind of like a checklist that they've always gone through. Say, how do I, approach a problem? And COVID-19 has changed so much that those checklists no longer apply. But it's the way they've come up. It's their security blanket. It's the only thing that they're comfortable with.
It's their framework for addressing the matter.
Yes. And they have never been trained on things like innovation or creative thinking, because they've never had to be, because they got to where they were probably by not being innovative and not being creative thinking. They stuck by the rules that were laid down in the union, the heads that they took over from, and the head that he took over from, and the head that he took over from. And I'm saying he because they're usually he's, all the way back probably to the 1800s. And, they've changed so little in that time, because it's worked for them up to now, and they can't get their heads around. We've seen a seismic change in things.
We haven't seen the change yet, but it will. At the end of all this, you're going to have those that will pass away.
Yeah.
They're not going to make it. And I look at CVs routinely. I get people send me their CVs, PhDers for the most part. And in the last 2 months, I've seen the shift on how the CVs are looking. And that tells me that's a tremendous barometer. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. And it's a barometer by which I can forecast what's going to go into the future. And good luck for the guy or gal that has embraced the past and said, I'm going to go by the same branding, same labels. It's no longer. And if you don't have eccentricity in your portfolio, then I don't think anybody's going to accept you and you turn around. It's just too many interesting folks out there that are just doing odd, interesting, exciting stuff in concert with the routine stuff.
Yeah. And the challenge is, even if you fail, you learn from it and you move on, and people need to start to see that. I think Caitlin wants to come back now. So
I'm back. Do we have Kevin and Oren? Are you guys here in reality? Awesome. There you guys are. Perfect. So we're gonna take about 20 minutes. The judges were like crazy fast. Welcome back. Thank you. There's Oren. Welcome back too. Thank you guys again for coming in. So the judges were super quick. So we're gonna take about 15-20 minutes. I'd love for you guys to share with our participants, since now they have a product and they're hopefully going to go out and sell it to people, your sort of thoughts and experiences on, and again as well, all of you together, your thoughts and experiences on opportunities and taking opportunities when they're there, and sort of either being in the right place at the right time or putting yourself in the right place at the right time. You all were parts of organizations kind of really at the beginning and have grown with them. So I'd love to hear, and I think the participants would love to hear more about how y'all have made that happen for yourselves.
Anybody in particular jumping in first, or can I jump in?
Go for it.
All right. Rule 1. You get one shot. Make it your best shot. Go in with the attitude that if that person or people walk away from that initial meeting and have questions unanswered, then conceivably you've not done the best job you should have done. Don't hesitate to incorporate introductions into your presentation, i.e. People you've dealt with in the past, letters of reference, bank letter, all sorts of things that give credibility to just who you are in addition to whatever the project is itself. Think of it as a court case. Go in there prepared, have your evidence ready, and the better the presentation, the better organized are, the more likely the reception will be in order for what you're endeavoring to present. And I hold dear to that. I learned that on Wall Street years gone by, that whenever you had a new venture coming off, the people would show up with lawyers and accountants and everybody else, and you couldn't sit there and not give intellectual answers or proposals, because they're gunning for you. They're paid top dogs to sit there and say, find the loopholes, find the weaknesses in this individual in this project. And you can see when you delivered an excellent presentation and take into tax considerations, whatever you can contribute. And an average person, I realize, can't talk tax, but you can talk other things. And the more they walk away with their heads nodding up and down, going, "Hey, I got something out of that time with that individual or individuals," then the more they're going to say, "So what's this guy all about? Who is he?" They're going to do a due diligence anyway, so you might as well make them happy about it and put your best foot forward. Present it at your first date with this person. Make an impression. That's real simple, but boy, there's validity to all that. Any questions?
Yeah, I just want to jump in there as well and just echo some of the things that were said. I think, Caitlin, when you introduced that, you said, the right time, right place. Although there is like windows of opportunity, I think you need to make them happen as well. There's never going to be a knock on your door saying this is the right time to pull the trigger on this, or the right place, or you're the right person. I think, the harder you work, the more opportunities you get. And it's as simple as that. You keep showing up every day and putting yourself in the right place. That's when, I'm not sure, some golfer said, the more I practice, the luckier I get, right? So the harder you work, the more opportunities are going to come to you. So I think like I said, right place, right time might not, there's a lot of opportunity at the moment, and when there's turmoil and so on, there's a lot of opportunity in that, but hard work and empathy, I think, are the two key resources that you should look at when you approach an opportunity. And I think Egon said it there as well, the way you communicate is massively important. So I think empathy is just a huge tool that everyone has and can harness when they approach these meetings or opportunities, whatever they are. And And you know, Egon talked about, you know, value. If you can bring value to every meeting you go to by considering what they want to hear or what you know, what they're looking for in the meeting, you'll always get a second meeting, or you'll always get a referral if you constantly think about bringing value. So I think if you work hard and utilize empathy and communicate properly, you'll get more and more opportunities, and it's about, you know, taking them in the right vein.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. I think that I totally echo everything that was said before. I think the addition I'd make is one, focus. So I think everyone who asked me questions over the last few days from this group, I just kind of said focus on the thing that you can do, and focus on the value you can deliver to a customer. So that's the thing, like, just don't boil the ocean. Like, you have an idea, there's probably a subset of people who are willing to buy or pay for it. Focus on those people. There's no point in trying to boil the ocean at the start of this. And that goes for focusing on what the product should or can do, as well as the customer type that you're going to go after. And the second one, in more general sense, is ask for the intro. I think that's actually something initially people are afraid of. You're a startup, you probably won't have huge lead flow. You probably won't have just this huge, amazing database of people to contact. You will call people on the yellow pages and hit blank, hit, you know, voicemails, and no one will call you back and all those things. Ask for the intro. Here, there's 27 people on this call. There's 27 people who can give you an intro to someone else. Use those networks. Your power is always your network. That's whether you're a small startup or a multi-billion-dollar company, that's always going to be the case. So totally lean into that. And I'll double down on the previous message on empathize with the person you're selling to or talking to. They have a problem and you potentially can help solve it. Empathize with that person as you go through. And if you're talking to someone and it's a sales kind of conversation, again, ask for an intro there. Like, they know someone else as well. Just keep expanding your network and building on that. And that'll get your database in a good shape.
Okay. From y'all's personal experiences, I've had a few other people when they've come on answer these questions. What would be your do not do this thing? This is what I did in my younger days, and I look back on it and go like, oh, what is your like pearl of wisdom in that sense of avoid this mistake that I made in my past for our teams as they kind of go out into the world with their products and their solutions?
I think for the actual initial thing is, don't pretend you're the expert. There's no easier way to fall on your face than pretending you know all the answers. You don't have to know all the answers. No one expects that from you. So that, I think that's one big key one. But you'll have loads of cringy moments. It's part of the job. Yeah,
I think embracing, like, you know, just a fear of failure. Like, if I could look back at myself, I would have asked myself to take more risks. You know, it's like the worst someone can tell you is no. And that's as hard as it's going to be to feel. And maybe you make a bad presentation, but you learn from that. You got to take that on board. And the more you fail, the wiser you get, you know? So, like, at the end of the day, if the only regrets that you'd have is the ones that you're not moving on an opportunity. So I would say just don't get crippled by fear of, oh, what if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? It's, you know, I had a very cringy teenage years, and that probably stands to me as in business, that because I just think the gland that produces shame or you know, cringe is just sort of completely excreted. So, like, you know, I'm happy to throw myself into any situation. I think that, you know, I wish I had learned that a bit younger. Is the worst you can do is be a little bit embarrassed or maybe miss the opportunity, but it's a lot better than never taking an opportunity. So I'd say just embrace the fear, you know.
I'm going to try it a bit more abbreviated. I always took the position, I would ask myself, how would Fred Astaire handle that move? And I found that played well. And you're absolutely, everybody's right there, that you have to be humble, fluid. Can you hear me? All right. You have to be humble, fluid, and but I guess humility is big. I think it's so important to go in that room, if it is a room or a personal meeting, and realize that be the lower in this situation. Almost take the biblical sense. Be the humble party in the room. It works well for me. If you go in that room and you want, as somebody said earlier on, you want to be that expert, there are experts in that room. They're not going to appreciate that. Go in there and just put your hands in your lap. And really embrace that. Think about it before you get in a room. Who am I going to be in that room? Don't get in the room and think, what do I do when I get here? before you show up and sit down, if you're going to sit down, take a position in your mind. What role do I want to play on this stage? Again, we're back to Broadway. Decide what character you want to be, where you want to be scripted on that situation. And then when you go in there, irrespective of how they may treat you or do otherwise, play your role and you'll do okay at the end.
Fabulous. As an arts person, I love arts references. So performance references are,
yeah, but they're great. They come on with the role. They actually say, you guys call it the face. So you put on a face and you go in there and they pre-think that point when they get on that. And it's like saying, use that in business, in court. Do it there. It's like there's value to that. And you'll be better than just the same person if you didn't have it.
totally, that you couldn't have set me up better for my next question. All of you have been in, like you said, pitching to people and having to go out into the world and sort of sell something, or you're a concept or this. Advice for our participants on how you sort of get yourself revved up for that. I don't know if I mean, there's a few people out there, I'm sure, who love that moment of going in and facing possible rejection. I'm not one of them. So how do you guys, how do you all, do you have a get psyched up routine that you want to share with everyone?
I think last time we mentioned, or I mentioned it, I want to repeat it again. Mr. Cuomo. Cuomo now is the governor of New York State, but his father was also the governor of New York State a few generations back. He was a very powerful domestic politician. And I was not in the same camp with the gentleman. Never had met him. He had retired, and years later, I happened to bump into him at an event at the New York City Bar Association. And I figured, well, I'm here, he's here. I want to just listen to this guy and see who he is and what he is and how he presents himself. He walked in the room and he had the tuba, the flat tuba. I don't know what you call that. You have the round sousaphone, then you have the flat tuba. He had a tuba and he held it up. And it said, if you've got something to say it. And I really thought, this guy's right. I mean, if you keep your mouth shut, if you don't go in there and people won't respect you if you waste their time and don't deliver a message. So if you're going to deliver a message, think you're on stage. Getting back to stage talk, Ethel Merman, they used to say to her, don't repeat anything on stage you don't want somebody to hear. And she asked why, and she said, because everybody's going to hear you. Magnificent voice. And get that magnificent voice. Go in there and think, well, I've come this far. Take your shot. So stand tall, do it. And again, put that face on and just say, I'm here, do it. And you'll be surprised how many people will respond. Even if your delivery is not flawlessly perfect, most people will respect you that you've taken the initiative. And quality people very often will jump in and say, can I help you out? They're usually on your side. You can win them over. So.
Oran and Kevin, do you want to add anything to that of your experience as well?
I can jump in. I have no Broadway references, so I can't. I don't know anyone on Broadway. But I suppose from my side, I think I never had a particularly good routine for going into the room, but I think that this is probably reasonably obvious advice, but it's, I think, important, is be prepared. If you have colleagues or friends or family or a mirror, practice what you're going to say before you go and say it. Like, just know your lines, and know what you can before you go into that meeting. And what that means is really research who the people in the room are with you, all that stuff. Look up their LinkedIn. In fact, I think now that I'm on the other side of the table and people come in and pitch to me more often, I actually really don't like it when they don't look me up first. So I want someone to come in and kind of have a bit of a prep session, and they know what they're talking about. They know who they're talking to. Again, no one's expecting anyone to be the supreme leader, kind of know-all person, but know your talk track and know the people in the room so you can empathize with what they want to hear. I think that's a big part of it. And just kind of practice it.
I just double down on, again, I know I talk about it a lot, but like empathy. knowing who's in the room and knowing the problem that you can solve for them. So it might be one product that you have, but you can sell it to 3 different roles, right? So say if you have, product X can sell to a CMO, a CFO, and a COO, right? So CFO, what are they concerned with? They're concerned with, is it going to make them money or is it going to cost them money? The COO might be looking at time and efficiencies of the organization, et cetera, right? So you can have one product and it can tell many different stories on how that product can help them. So I would say, as Kevin said, do your research, know who's in the room, and just act with empathy. Think about bringing value to them and asking them questions. It's not just a one-way pitch as well. It's like, understand what their pain points are. A lot of times your product will, especially in early days when you're at MVP, your product will probably weave and change at the customer's request, right? So you might think that this is what we're going to be and we have a very clear vision. And once you test in the market, you might actually hear from feedback from meetings that actually this is more what we need, and you have to pivot as well. So I think, I don't have any, big hype song or like that before I go into a meeting, but what I do is I know who I'm talking to. I, assume what their pain points are, and I sort of start pushing on. It's almost like Jenga pieces. Each pitch is like a Jenga piece. You're trying to see where the loose piece is. And once you resonate with help of their feedback, I think you can unlock something there as well. And as I said, empathy, just about bringing value to a meeting. And that would be my main thing. And there'd be no need to be nervous if you go in with that sort of adaptable, sort of flexible approach,
Keep forgetting to unmute myself to say, yes, wonderful. We'll go around one more round through. Any just sort of general advice you want to share with the participants, something, whatever you wish somebody had told you in your start, anything that you want to say? Free reign to say whatever you want.
I would just say, just be yourself as well. Don't try and be somebody that you're not. That's my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, I was going to say find your voice, but that's the same thing. And also it'll adapt and change over time. You'll make mistakes. You'll fall in your face, and that's okay. Those are all moments you'll learn from. And I think, again, doubling down on empathize with the customer. They'll empathize with you. It's fine. You'll make mistakes, but those are the ways you actually get better over time. And that's real genuine. I know that sounds like bullshit most of the time, but that's actually, I think most people have that story where they did something completely sideways before, but they learn from it and they're doing something really cool with it now.
Yeah, so just be authentic.
Yeah. You can't really add much more to what you're citing there. I would add to that. Do your best to show up, and to show up as your best at that moment, and let the rest go casual. Be on time, for God's sakes. Really set it's so easy to be 10 minutes early. I can't tell you how many people just blow it and don't do that. And even though we're casual in today's arena, inside, don't be casual. They're grading you. They're sizing you up and down. Be professional within. Be casual, exterior, interior, be professional. Because somebody in that room's sizing you up and down. But don't let it kill you. Just big deal. You made it to the big time. You're in front of them. That's what you were shooting to do. And now that you're there, learn how to dance, the right dance. So, and you'll make it. It's no big thing.
Fabulous. I'll open the floor up to if any of the judges who are here now want to share any of their own thoughts. Don't reveal anything yet, because I will do that in a few minutes when everybody gets back in. Or if any of the participants want to ask questions of the panel, the judges, don't ask who won, but any sort of advice, thoughts, anything you want to ask about, feel free to do so now. This is your moment. Everybody's gonna be shy now. Well, I'll ask the judges something then, without revealing anything. What, if you could give one sort of general bit of advice to all of our participants, what would you share with them after seeing their pitches, their products, all of that.
I thought all the pitches were really, really good. One thing I would say is really make sure that you've done your competitor research.
I must say I also liked the presentations you did. And one thing, when you also hear the results, I think don't expect you have the right solution for everyone, because maybe you have a great solution, but for some people that is not what they're looking after. So even if you don't win, that doesn't mean it's bad. It means it wasn't right for this person or for this group. And I think that's then ask for feedback, maybe why they didn't choose you. Which of course this year it will be hard, but in general I think that's
I would add something as well. I would say just always keep questioning your assumptions and keep validating them. And remember that everything, especially now, is in a constant situation of change. So things can change from one day to another, and just keep validating your assumptions and keep asking questions and keep telling people about your ideas. That's mine.
Ashton, do you want to share anything?
Sorry, you were saying?
Do you want to share anything, any bit of advice, any thoughts with participants? Or?
Yeah, there's one thing I would like to share. It's building up on what Naomi mentioned. I think with regards to the idea of validations, like we've seen some pretty good pitches there with some actual numbers and early validations. I would say be very clear as to what is validated and by how much, and making sure that you sort of make a distinction between some things that you have in the back of your mind that people might want and what's actually been sort of like looked after by your target audience. So in this case, like try to put numbers on things and be very clear as to what you have numbers for and what you don't, because it's not per se a bad thing not to have done the research as in depth as you would have liked. But I think being very clear cut onto that I know for sure and has been validated by X amount of people in this amount of time, and this we still need to find out in the coming weeks or months, that's totally fine. So yeah, build up on what you guys have done, but great job so far.
Awesome. I'm just going to check on, we have a few judges missing. So I'm just going to check to make sure that everybody is not lost or locked out of Zoom, because Zoom has spent the weekend trying to undo us. And then we'll do the fun part and announce the winners. I've already announced the judges. Announce the winners.
I think we have a question from Chris.
Go for it.
It's in the chat. I don't know who that question is, but it's in the chat.
So Chris is asking, if I may ask a question outside of this hackathon arena, as industry players like airlines and tourism companies are bleeding cash, applying for bankruptcy protection and suffering layoffs, how do we get these companies to buy, invest in our products and services? Ooh.
That's tough.
Easy question for a Sunday evening. No problem.
That is an exceedingly easy question.
There you go.
Those folks are more in need of assistance. Right now, while they don't have the answer, they recognize that they need help. You don't have to overcome that obstacle saying you need me. Trust me, they are looking for a Messiah if anybody's looking for a Messiah. Hospitality, tourism in particular. I'm in Cambridge, Boston, Massachusetts, heavy tourism city. And that industry is dead in the door, and they're searching for, just like Broadway, they're looking for an answer. So the reception for something novel is there. And while they may not be keen to technology, it's not something that's really a component of their lifestyle. notwithstanding, the door is open. If you can go in there and say, I can find a utility in the service or the equipment that you own, the turf that you, if you think in terms of Boston, just like Ireland, like London, so forth, Ireland, and all the history you have, my gosh, that converts nicely into with technology. No, I think the question is very logical, and at the same time, there's a huge amount of resource in that industry. They're cash strapped right now, but governments will pitch in if you go in with a solution. Governments are quick to say, how do we save this industry? So you'll find the ear is open. Local governments in particularly will work with you on a historical land site, anything that'll bring patrons back to that purpose. That's a very hot ticket.
There's also in the UK. There's also it's too late now, but Innovate UK had a call to action and offering funding up to £50,000 for solutions to business problems.
The airlines are another. You mentioned airlines in concert with tourism. The airlines have equipment that depreciates, straight line depreciation. So every second goes against them. That particular airliner gets older and older by the second. That castle in England or in Ireland gets older and older by the second. It becomes more valuable. That aircraft becomes less valuable. So there's a distinct dichotomy between the subjects. But and don't forget, airlines are owned by usually publicly held companies, or governments have their fingers in them. So that's a different animal altogether. Yeah.
Great. So Chris, it's not a lost cause. Don't worry. All right. So thank you to Egon and Oran and Kevin for jumping in and being our wonderful advice panel for this evening. A little more light advice for the contestants, for the participants, after they've finished all of the hard work for the day. So now we get to do what is the fun part, and I think the most stressful part. Going to announce our winners. So a huge thank you to our judges panel for going through and choosing our winners from all of the really incredible projects you guys put together in 2 days. Sophia and I were saying we were really impressed. This is one of the best sets of projects that we've seen come out of one of our 2-day events. All right, so just a reminder, our overall winner will be getting desk space and 1 investor meeting from the Dublin BIC, Stripe and Atlas discounts, a Miro license, Story Creative Consult, auto acceptance into 1 Dog Patch First Friday mentoring session, a mentoring session from the NDRC, and tickets to Web Summit. We have a special prize to have a mentoring session with Andreas, a special prize to have a mentoring session with Claire, and a special prize to have tickets to the TNW Couch Conference. Our first special prize winner for the mentoring session with Andreas is Team 9. Yay! Team 9. You can turn yourselves off mute so you can clap.
Thank you.
There, yay! Fabulous. Our second special prize to win a mentoring session with Claire McHugh is Team 2. Yay! Our third special prize to get from Sebastian for the next Web Couch Conference tickets is, again, Team 2.
Yay!
Yay, Team 2.
Thank you.
And
thank
finally,
you. Thank you. Thank you.
overall, yay, Team 2. And finally,
thank you very much.
Overall winner of the list of prizes that I did earlier, because I'm not going to say it again, is team number 10.
Yay!
That's us.
And Modest too. So that's a big reveal moment. it's not as exciting when I can't bring you all up on stage and like have a giant check or something. So that's the wrap up, the big reveal. You know who the winners are. Sophie and I will be in touch to organize all of the prizes for everyone within the next week or so. We probably won't get back to you tomorrow because I think everybody is just going to sleep through all of tomorrow. So now we get to go on to our last bit of business for the day. So don't leave quite yet. Our last bit of business for the day, and it's our What the Hack tradition, is we'll do a toast. So whatever you have nearby, water, coffee, I'll give you all 2 minutes. Peter's frantically looking around.
Aha! Always come prepared.
Oh, very nice. Pablo set.
Pablo, everyone.
Egon's ready. Neha's ready. We'll wait for Peter to get back. Colm, is it Pepsi?
Oh my God, Pepsi should give you money for how you advertise them.
You should, yeah.
You know, like you should get something.
Sponsor.
Cheers.
All right, we're all ready. So if everybody wants, hold on, where is everybody? If y'all will put your screens on so we can actually see each other when we do our wonderful virtual cheers. There we go. I'm glad Claire does not have alcohol at this early as it is in the morning for her. There we go. There we go. We almost have everyone. Let's see this page too. Here we are over here. Fabulous. All right. Amazing work, everybody. Huge congratulations to all of our participants. You were really incredible. It was so great to watch you all work since I got to spy on you in your Slack channels for the last 2 days. Great to get to watch you all work, and absolutely incredible projects and presentations from everyone. Like we said, this was really one of the best sets that we've ever seen. Congratulate yourself. Even if you didn't win, you're still a winner. I say this every pitch or every one of these that we do. None of the projects that I am working on right now won in a hackathon, and they're still going. So just because you didn't win doesn't mean you have to stop working on it. Doesn't mean you should stop working on it. Just figure out what you need to do better and improve it. You get as much information out of bad feedback or feedback of what you need to improve as you do out of positive feedback. So congratulate yourselves. Cheers to everyone.
Cheers.
Fabulous work today
Cheers.
and yesterday.
Cheers.
And thank you to all of our judges, our speakers who are here, everyone who came together to help Sophie and I make this possible. It really wouldn't happen without everyone who's involved. So thank you, everybody. You are all fantastic. And yeah, go and enjoy the sunshine or the rest of the day, or if you have a bank holiday tomorrow, the bank holiday.
Thank you very much,
you.
everybody.
Before everybody goes, can I just say thank you to Kathleen and Sophie for all the hard work, and it's been a fantastic event. So a round of applause, please, for them as well.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, I would blush if I could.
I'll blush for both of us. I can blush enough for like 5 people. So.
Thank you.
And now I'm gonna have whiskey, so I'll turn bright pink in half a second.
But yeah, no, that was so great. I'm so happy to see that. Like, I hope that everybody enjoyed this weekend. Even if it was really sunny, you decided to be there, stuck with us for 2 days and make your brains work, and it paid off. So yay!
So you're all free to hang out here for a while if you want to chat with anybody. Shivam, if you want to ask people for their contacts so you can hire them as you're planning to do, this is your moment to do so. So normally we would have a little party and everybody would mingle, and this is the closest we can get. So I'll keep the chat open for a while. I'll stop.